Rolling. All right, what is your name?
My real official name is Michele Sonnenberg-Cedarquist.
Michelle, where are you from?
From Michigan.
Is that where you grew up?
Grew up in Westland, Michigan.
How were your parents?
Dysfunctional.
How so?
My father was an alcoholic, and my mother, not knowing what to do, really allowed it to happen.
So how would you describe your childhood?
I had the best childhood in the world, honestly. You can't, I don't think you could have a childhood like I did. All the neighbors, it was a new neighborhood. All the neighbors moved in at the same time. Everybody had kids. If you did something wrong, they'd be on the phone to your mother saying, "Lorraine, do you know what Michelle is doing?" Everybody watched out for everybody else.
What did your parents do?
My mom was a homemaker, and then she went to work part-time for Hudson's, which is now Macy's. My father was skilled trades electrician at Ford Motor.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I guess you should say that technically I'm retired, but I work part-time for Menards, stocking shelves.
What cars have you driven over the years?
Oh my. My first car was a Plymouth Duster, and then I had a Ford Falcon, and then I had a Pinto, and then I had a Chevy Monte Carlo. Then I had this yellow Chrysler thing, and then a Mazda, then an Escort, then a Focus. I'm sure I'm missing some. From a Focus, I had a Bronco 2, then then a Ford Escape, and now I have a Toyota RAV4.
Which one was your favorite and why?
The Bronco 2 was my favorite because it just took a licking and kept on ticking.
How far did you go in school?
I am about 3 credits short of a bachelor's.
Where did you go?
Indiana University.
Do you feel like in some ways you're following your parents' footsteps?
No. Neither were my mom and dad. They weren't travelers, and I like to go places and explore things.
Where's your favorite place to go?
I really like Key West, but I really, really like St. John in the Caribbean.
What was the best time in your life so far?
Marrying my husband.
Can you describe that a little bit more?
It just sort of was serendipitous, kismet, as they say. We had a first date. He had a sailboat, and we went out sailing October 14th in 1989. The sun was setting, and the moon was rising, so we sailed between the two. There was a really lovely breeze, but not very many waves, so it was a really smooth, lovely sail. And we were married 3 months later.
How did you guys get into sailboating?
My husband went to Washington University in Missouri. He was a physicist, solid state physicist, and he was walking down the street and he saw this. Um, it was when they had travel agents, and they had all these pictures in the window, and one of them was somebody skiing, and the other was a picture of a sailboat. And he said, "When I graduate college, I want to go to someplace that I can do both of those." So he had a sailboat. And in high school, my friends reminded me of this. They'd say, "What are you going to do after you graduate from high school?" And I would say, "I'm going to get on a sailboat and sail away." And so it just sort of worked out. It was kismet.
How long did you guys do that for?
5 years. Well, we had boats for almost the entire time we were married, which was 17 years. But the first boat was a Great Lakes racing boat, and it really wasn't built for the ocean. So then we got a Valiant 40.
What makes you unique?
Oh my goodness. Kind of you see what you get. I am who I am.
Do you remember anything about your grandparents?
I never met my grandmother on my mother's side. She died before I was born. But my grandfather, Tom Circle, loved him very much. My dad's father was also deceased before I was born. And my grandmother, Mary, was a mean old lady.
What was your best memory?
With
your
my grandpa? I had growing pains as a child. My knees and elbows hurt because I grew really tall very quickly. I've been this height since I was 10. So I had painful knees. And he would always come over and say, "Well, I'll let you borrow my Medicare card." And then later, when he was dying of cancer, I drew this picture, and I was only 11 or 12, and I drew this picture of what I thought a Medicare card was, and I sent it to him so he could borrow mine, and I made him laugh for the first time, so that was a good thing.
Do you have any children?
I do not.
What are some of your happiest memories?
One time when we were sailing from Shelburne, Nova Scotia, across the Bay of Fundy to Scituate, Massachusetts, I always took the early morning watch because my husband was a night owl and he would stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning without any trouble. So 4 o'clock was about dawn, and the water was almost smooth. And in the ocean, that doesn't happen often. And the sun was rising, and the water was orange and pink and purple. And I was watching that, and I was facing stern. And all of a sudden, I heard this whoosh noise, and I got drenched in this foul-smelling fishy water. I was sailing in between 2 blue whales. And they stayed with me for a little while, and then when they dove down deep, their flukes just about touched in front of the bow as they left me.
And your husband was asleep?
He was asleep. And I didn't want to yell for him because it just seemed like they would hear me and get scared or something.
What are some of your painful memories?
Losing my husband. My mom dying. My dad dying. Mostly people dying. It's sad.
Do you want to go into detail?
No.
What is your favorite food?
Wow. That's a lot of food to think about. Really? a nice medium rare steak with a baked potato and a salad.
Why?
Because it's so good.
What was a horrifying experience in your life?
I was arrested under they thought I was somebody else. And I was in jail for 3 days while trying to prove that I wasn't whoever this other person was who shot 2 policemen. So that was horrifying, because how can you prove who you are if they don't believe you? It was very difficult.
Roughly when was that?
1982, 2 or 3, something like that.
And what kind of evidence did you have that proved that it wasn't you?
I had my birth certificate, and the person, neither myself nor this other person, had their fingerprints in the system. So that was one thing they couldn't prove who I was by my fingerprints. So my roommate went and got my papers and got birth certificates and, anything that she thought would prove who I was. And then they believed me.
What was a proud moment in your life?
Gosh. You can take pride in little things. So, learning how to knit for the first time, riding a bike, growing a really good vegetable garden, stuff like that.
Who has made you really, really happy in life?
My husband.
Who has shown appreciation for you?
Well, you have, Timmy. My best friend Venus, my mom and dad, and my husband.
Why do you think they do that?
I think that they see things in me that I don't, and that they're proud of me and want me to know that.
Do you want to
Right.
share? Oh, I'm sorry.
Or were proud of me. No, I can't think of anything that I don't know what to add there,
Do you want to share a dark secret?
I don't think I have any. I told you about being arrested. That was my dark secret.
What was an embarrassing moment in your life?
When I was younger, I was really, really timid. And anything embarrassed me.
What was the funniest moment in your life?
When we had a boat, we had a group of really great friends. They were all, we all docked our boat near each other. And I don't exactly know how it happened, but we decided we would celebrate Queen for the day. And we would make these scenarios like make you stand up in a dinghy, and we'd dinghy around the whole place with you being dressed up with this stupid crown and cape and scepter, or we cover one of the dock wagons with foil and make you sit in it and wave, and it was just silly.
Did anyone bully you in school?
They didn't really, there wasn't that heavy connotation to bullying as there is now. If you were, I don't want to say bullied or teased by a classmate, we didn't ever think of that as bullying. It was just people teasing each other, and you just got over it. You didn't take it so seriously.
How would you further compare that from then versus now, do you think?
I think there's so much in the social media, and kids are meaner maybe. I'm not really sure. I know that bullying is a whole different thing than it used to be. They'd, steal your lunch money, and that was like a really bad thing. Now they cause you to kill yourself.
Did you ever tease anybody?
No. No, I was very timid.
What do you think the meaning to life is?
To find happiness.
What do you think of life in general?
What do you mean? Like, how in general? Like, do I like life? I'm not sure how to answer that question.
From your perception, how have you experienced your life? What do you think of it?
Well, probably in my younger years, I enjoyed life more than I do now. I made a series of really silly decisions, like thinking that I could rehab a house with my brother and sister-in-law. And it hasn't turned out that well. So I'm working on finding happiness again.
What kind of difficulties did you guys face while rehabbing it?
Well, I purchased the house. It is mine. I'm the only one who put money down. Yet they believed in their portion of it was to help me do some of the work. My brother's very handy. He's an HVAC guy, and he could do a lot of the things that I couldn't do. And our agreement was that they would help with the work, and then when the house was sold, we would split the profits as we had discussed. And they didn't like things that I did in the house. I painted my living room blue, and they have just berated me like nobody's business because I painted a living room blue. My sister-in-law told me I was only allowed to use 2 tubes of caulk, and I had to do it in under an hour in order to, she was very, very controlling, and I didn't realize how controlling they were. And they treated me like I was a redheaded stepchild.
So now, what do you think of life in general as a whole?
Wouldn't change it for the world.
Even
Even the house thing? Oh, yeah.
I'm talking like zoom out a little bit,
Okay.
and we're looking at like the world now. What do you think of life in general?
I'm concerned about quite a few things. There's too many guns. Too many people have guns that shouldn't have them. I think that the millennials or the new generationals or whoever they are have been taught through their whole life that they're owed something. Participation trophies, all that thing. And no one wants to work. No one at Menards. It's a part-time job. It's a part-time, no thinking job. And they say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. That's something I would not now nor ever say to a boss. I will not do this. I might say, hey, I can't lift a 50-pound bag of dog food, but if you give me somebody to help me, I'll be happy to. But that's not, I'm afraid of our world being turned over to this new generation.
Where do you see it going?
I'm afraid that there won't be a leader who has had the good and bad happen in their life. If you're always given a trophy because you showed up to the dance, how do you know what it's like to win? And how do you know how to strive to win if your whole life they just gave you stuff?
What do you think of the universe?
The universe is I wish that I would be around long enough for space travel to get too farther than the moon. I don't believe that will happen. Maybe. I'd like to find out about this new black hole that they discovered, stuff like that. But as far as the universe goes, it's never ending and never beginning, so I don't know. It's hard to grasp that concept.
If you could, would you want to travel in space?
Oh, yeah. If I was young enough, I would be there in a minute.
Do you think there is a God?
Yes.
Why are you religious?
I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I don't believe in church. I don't believe in religions. It's been my experience that most people who say that they are Christian or religious, generally speaking, are hypocrites. They say, for example, I'm a Christian, and then they turn around and go, oh my God, that person is horrible and mean and nasty. They don't practice what they preach.
How would you further describe your spirituality?
I think it's a very private thing for me. I talk to God all the time. Guardian angels, my mom, my dad, my husband. I believe that there is something else after this life. Just don't know what it is.
What did you like in school?
Recess.
Why?
I didn't find this out, but I'm severely dyslexic. I was told that dyslexia was when you saw things turned upside down or backwards. But in my case, the words actually move off the page. And I tried to explain this. My mom kept taking me to the eye doctors thinking it was my eyes. But going to school, in a Catholic school at that, they didn't know, in 1962 or 3, they didn't know what dyslexia was.
How has that affected your life?
It's the reason I never finished college. It's the reason that I've lost a job or two because I couldn't perform correctly. Actually, I thought of a thing that made me proud of myself. I watched a TV program and it explained what dyslexia was, and it was like this big light bulb going off. And I did a lot of research, and I found a therapist who would take me on as a client because I was an adult and he was teaching children. And all his games were kind of, or his lessons were built for children. But he was kind enough to allow me to go through this process.
And that's helped you?
Oh, amazing. Amazingly. I can read a map now. I never could before.
That's awesome. Did you have a favorite teacher in school?
Miss Hatch. And I think that's because she was the only teacher that didn't wear a habit. She wasn't a nun. I didn't like nuns.
Did you hate any teachers?
Yes. Why?
Yeah.
Sister Marie Pacelli was my homeroom teacher in St. Norbert's Catholic school. And at that time, you lined up and went to the bathroom, and one of the nuns would say, okay, they didn't want everybody going in there at the time, so you're only allowed 2 or 3 kids at a time. And I was first in line, and she said something to me, and I thought she said, do you like chocolate milk? And I said, no. And she said, you go down and you get that chocolate milk right now. It turns out that she had a brain tumor. She died shortly after this, but her speech was affected and she was mumbling, so I didn't understand her. So after lunch, I came into Sister Marie Pacelli's room, and she brought me up in front of the class and told them what a horrible child I was because I had said no to a nun. So, and that was on a Monday, unfortunately for me. She locked me in a closet until 3:15 because we left school at 3:30, and there was no lights in this closet. She locked me in the closet. I wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom. I wasn't allowed anything. She did that for the rest of the week. I would come into school, hang up my coat, and she would make me stand in the closet for the week. But she let me out 15 minutes beforehand so that my eyes could adjust. She told me that if I told anyone, my whole family would go to hell and we would burn forever. So I never told anyone until I was 35. So yeah, I kind of hate her.
Do you feel like there was a moment where you went from being religious to spiritual? Or have you always been spiritual?
No, I was very religious. As a child I was, until 2nd grade. And then I realized that wasn't right. Whatever she was doing to me wasn't right, even though I was scared to death of saying anything. I realized that religion was not my thing.
What is your biggest goal in life?
Happiness.
Why? Why is it your biggest goal?
Because if you boil everything down, you can think, you're to find a true love, but that is looking outside yourself. You're looking to someone else to make you whole or happy. I think God wants you to be happy.
What do you think of the world and its problems?
Right now, they're pretty scary. Like I said earlier, our weapon problem. Did you know that at 18 years old you can buy an AR-47 or whatever they are, but you have to be 21 to buy a handgun? That makes no sense to me.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Why would a handgun be more dangerous than an AR-47 or AR? What are they?
15.
AR-15. An AR-15 can shoot 100 bullets in, I don't know, a minute, maybe less. A handgun only has, I don't know how many, I'm not a gun person, but let's say they have 10 bullets. There's a big difference between 110.
Correct, yeah.
It's why all those kids were injured in the school shooting that just happened in Texas. Uvalde, because he just sprayed bullets.
In the past 10 years, how many shootings do you think you've heard of?
Well, Sandy Hook was 20 years ago, I think. I can't count, hundreds in the past 10 years. There was just 4 in the last 2 days.
Why do you think that is?
Part of it, I think, has to do with the pandemic. I think that people stayed home and they social mediaized themselves, and got indoctrinated because there was no one else around them to say, "What are you doing?" If you spend all your time looking at one thing, eventually you believe it. And I also think that social media and the bullying and it makes it worse when you can announce to the world that so-and-so is an idiot. I don't know what they call kids anymore, but when the whole world knows, or it's been said about you and the whole world can read it, I would imagine that's got to be pretty painful.
What do you think of the world and its problems?
I think we talked about this already.
Very little, yeah.
I think I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to go about feeding people. I don't know how to go about making people not want to start wars or bully people or go into a doctor's office and kill the doctor because you have pain or have road rage and then shoot that person down. I don't know how to stop that. I wish I did.
What are some of your earliest childhood memories?
My earliest childhood memory is I was probably 3. My mother was pregnant, though I didn't know what that meant. And she took my hand and put it on her belly, and I felt my brother kick. That's my very first memory.
Why do you think that stuck with you?
Because it was really cool.
What drugs have you done? What drugs have you done?
I don't want to talk about that.
Any major accidents?
I've had a couple of concussions. I've crashed a car or 2. Those are...
Do you feel like they've had an impact in your life?
I think the concussions have, because I've had 3 major concussions. One time a hammer fell on my head from a ladder. One time I slipped on the kitchen floor, and scooted all the way across and smacked my head on the granite counter and then fell down. And then another time in Las Vegas, I went to grab onto the rail of the escalator and missed and fell backward. And I woke up bleeding all over the place. And I know that that's had impact on my cognitive abilities.
Where have you visited?
Well, in a sailboat, most of the islands that are in Lake Erie. In Lake Ontario, I don't think we stopped anywhere. Oh, the Thousand Lakes. We went up the St. Lawrence Seaway and around Nova Scotia. Oh, PEI, Prince Edward Island, we stopped at. Nova Scotia, we stopped in Shelburne, Nova Scotia. Situate, Massachusetts. Rode out a hurricane there. Hampton, Virginia. The British Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Kitts, Nevis, St. Bartholomew, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, bunches of places in the Bahamas itself, Nassau, and about 30 of the 50 states.
What is the biggest takeaway do you think you've had from traveling?
People are the same everywhere you go. There's kind people, there's mean people, fat people, skinny people, interesting people.
How do you process emotions?
I don't know. I don't know exactly. It depends on what it is. Sometimes I cry and then think about it afterwards. Sometimes I think about it and then I cry. It's funny that I don't process happy thoughts like you do unhappy thoughts. You know, you think about the boy who broke up with you, or the person that's mean, or how come you have a flat tire and you have no money to pay for a tire, that kind of stuff.
Fight or flight?
Fight.
Why?
Because flight is probably the smarter thing to do, but I don't, it depends on the incident. If there's like a big scary guy coming my way, that's flight. If it's some mean person saying bad things about me, that's fight. Because words can't really hurt you, but I mean they can, but they can't kill you like a big scary guy.
How do you eat?
I used to eat well. I used to cook all my food, nothing processed, except for maybe canned tomatoes or something like that. Now I am more like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich kind of girl. I don't like cooking for myself and just eat if I'm hungry.
Do you have any special genetics, features, or benefits?
Genetics. Well, I've never done a DNA thing, so I don't know.
What inspires you?
Recently, not very much, and that is attributed to the difficulty I've had with this fixer-upper thing. My brother and sister-in-law just beat me down and berated me so much that I haven't been inspired by very much. I'll work on that.
Do you have an inner monologue?
Yeah, they call it something else, though. Yes, I do talk to myself.
How would you describe it?
Um, Usually it's something that is reminding me that no matter what happens, I'm still me. I still can be productive. Still can put one foot forward and move on from whatever it is I'm moving on from.
What imaginations do you have?
Imaginations.
Or have you had?
You mean like dreams, imaginations?
Daydreaming, dreaming, just any type of imagination.
Well, let's see. I dream of being rich. Love to be rich. I would love to find some handsome, nice, rich man or someone with a decent income, not less than mine. I dream of seeing all the 50 states. I dream of doing more traveling.
What was your favorite subject in school?
I did not like school. I wasn't good at it. I would guess that maybe science.
Why do you think that is?
It was interesting to see, the experiments, what does what to what, and
Do you have a favorite dessert?
I do.
What is it?
Creme brulee.
Any other treats?
Well, you can't go wrong with a good piece of chocolate cake and a glass of milk.
Are you indecisive or decisive?
I'm a decisive person.
How has that affected your life?
Well, badly if I made the wrong decision. But it still is. I'm impatient, so decisions are made quickly for me.
So would you say you don't plan ahead for anything? Or do you plan ahead?
I plan ahead.
How far in advance?
Well, it depends on what you mean by planning ahead. In my car, I have rope, a raincoat, an umbrella, a small shovel, that kind of planning ahead.
More for the unknown?
More for, you never know what's going to happen.
How do you go about planning for a trip?
I write everything down. What am I going to take? What am I going to do? What am I going to wear? And then I pack it, cross it off the list.
Can you describe some of the interesting people you've met on your trips? Anyone that stood out?
Yeah, lots of people. There was a man and his girlfriend, and he came from a really wealthy family. But his boat was ramshackle looking and his clothes were like that. But he always had these really interesting stories about what he used to do and where he was going and, oh, I'll just sail here tomorrow. And I didn't find out until after he died that he was always a spur of the moment kind of guy because the men in his family didn't live past 45. And it's true, they found him tied to his boat. He had had a heart attack, and the boat was still sailing. They had to stop and find him. And he was the kind of guy he was because he knew he didn't have long.
Has anything bad happened to you on your trips?
When we were in Nova Scotia, we were getting ready to leave the next day, and I didn't feel like cooking, so I walked and picked up food. And we had eaten there the night before, and the man with another couple, and he had fried clams. And they looked really good to me, so I ordered fried clams. And then, after eating them, got so sick that I was throwing up blood. I didn't think I was going to make it through the night. The clams had some sort of something. And I've never had one again.
Do you have any funny stories to tell about yourself?
Yeah, lots of them, but I can't think of any right now.
Do you laugh a lot?
I try to.
Do you like to laugh?
I do.
Why do you think you like to laugh?
Makes you feel good.
Do you like to cry?
No,
When was the last time you cried?
probably 3 days ago.
Who are your friends?
My best friend is Venus, and she will do anything in the world for me. I also have a friend, Shelby and her husband, Steve, and I've known them since we were 13. My sister is my friend. I don't have a lot of... If I say friend, it means that they are important in my life and I talk to them every day. I have other friends at work like Bernice and, Cheryl and things like that, but they're not, or I don't know them well enough for them to be close friends.
How do you meet your friends?
Well, Shelby I met in Mr. Ribbitt's science class in 8th grade. And Venus I met at University Health Service at U of M. It was where the students seek their care.
What do you think of the military?
Well, it's a necessity. I think they need to be more inclusive as far as women and LGBTQP, whatever those initials are. Because everybody has a right to defend their country if that's what they choose to do.
Do you like your country?
I do.
Why do you like your country?
It's the United States of America. We stand for opening our arms. You wouldn't know that now, but taking in the people that need the help, for at least my generation, working hard, getting a job done, innovation, production, manufacturing. I'm not sure if we're still the greatest country, but we used to be.
Have you done any volunteer work?
Yes. I'm not sure if it's really volunteer work. In the hospitals, if your baby dies, the nursing staff wraps the baby in something nice, a crocheted little blanket, and I knit and crochet those little blankets and then take them so that the babies have something nice for their mom to remember them by.
How long have you done that?
5 or 6 years.
You currently doing it?
Mm-hmm. Well, a little slower in the summertime because knitting in the summer it's not a summer thing, but yeah.
Have you ever bought lottery tickets?
All the time.
How do you fantasize spending the money?
You mean like a big lot of money?
Yeah.
Okay. Big lot of money, I would buy you a new car because I'm worried about you. But I would give money to WEMU. It's the local public service radio station. I would give money to Habitat for Humanity. And I would give money to Heifer International. I don't know if you know about Heifer, but Heifer, depending on how much money you have, for example, if you have $30, they will give a family in the United States, you can choose ducks or chickens or bees, and they can grow the ducks and chickens, sell the eggs, they can sell the chickens, it's not, you're not giving them money to buy food, you're giving them a way to provide for themselves.
Have you ever won any money or lost money from gambling?
Yes. My brother got married in Las Vegas, and the siblings all went. And when you win money, if you win less than $1,000, you don't pay taxes on it. Well, I won a total of $15,000, little by little by little. I couldn't lose. Put $1 in, I would win 500. Like, it was the best thing in the whole world. And I never ever can go back there because that won't ever happen again and it won't be fun.
What is your favorite restaurant?
The Earl in Ann Arbor.
What do you like to order at it?
The Earl changes their menu every 6 weeks, so it depends on what they're providing that week or that 6 weeks.
Has anything stood out from the past?
Quail with prune sauce. I know. Who would have thought? It was amazing.
Do you like any politicians?
I like Barack Obama. I like, you want to stop for a second? Oh, what do you want, Buster? I like our governor. I like Hillary Clinton.
Does Buster need to go to the restroom?
I think he needs to go outside.
All right, we can take a break really fast.
Do you have to go outside? All right. Rock on.
All right. So you mentioned Barack Obama.
Yes.
Would you consider him to be your favorite president?
You mean of all the presidents that have been alive, or all the presidents that have been alive when I've been here?
Both.
I'd have to give Abraham Lincoln a big nod as the best president. Barack Obama, I think, tried hard, but he kept getting beaten down by the other side.
Have you had any long-term plans for your life?
I guess that my long-term plan right now is to move to Florida.
Why is that?
Oh, it's okay. He's just eating that.
Okay.
But he chews on stuff all the time. Well, I've lost a great deal of weight, and when I was fat, I never felt the cold. Never bothered me. Loved the winter. Now, I'm freezing to death all the time.
What are some of your pet peeves?
Rudeness, lying, people who are discourteous, mean people.
What are some of the most important lessons some of your teachers have given you in life? And that could be a mentor as well, just somebody who's been there for you in life.
Be true to yourself.
Did you have any best friends in school?
I did. Vicky Wong and Shelby.
Have you kept in touch?
No, Vicky Wong turned out to be someone I shouldn't trust. And Shelby, I see her all the time.
Why were they good? Why is she good friends? Or why were they good friends in the past?
Vicky was a friend of mine when I was a child, like 5 through 10 or 12. And mostly that's because she lived next door. Shelby, we got into a lot of trouble as children, and it just sort of bonded us.
Any memories stick out?
None that I will tell you.
Were you jealous of anyone in school?
Nah, jealousy's not my thing.
What did you dream of becoming in school?
Sailing, a sailor.
Did you ever do any sports?
No, sports weren't, when I went to school, sports weren't big for girls. There was no such thing as Title IX. You could either play golf, which I was not good at, or volleyball or tennis, and none of them really interested me.
Did you ever get into any fights?
I did.
What was it like?
It didn't last long. I'm a very strong woman, not, physically strong. And I hit her once and she gave up.
Did you ever skip school?
Yeah. Yes. My first year of high school, I skipped 80 of 180 days.
Did you ever get caught?
Yes, when the truant officer came to my house.
Did you feel guilty? Or did you like it?
I felt guilty when I got caught, and I liked it when I wasn't getting caught.
And your parents found out?
Oh yeah.
They punish you?
I think I was grounded.
Do you remember for how long?
I don't.
What was your first job?
Besides babysitting, I worked in a convalescent home kitchen.
How was that?
Horrible. Horrible.
What did you hate about it?
Mostly that I had to wear a hairnet. And the people that I was serving food to, it was really icky food. It was icky.
Can you describe the food?
Completely bland. No, because you have to worry about high blood pressure and diabetes with elderly people, and so you it's not like you could have tacos.
Did you go to college?
I did.
What college did you go to?
Indiana University.
Did you like it?
It was difficult, but I did like it.
And did you graduate?
No, I'm three credits shy.
Did you get a job right after you got out of college? Well, you didn't graduate, but...
I worked the whole time. I was a bartender at TGI Fridays in Indiana.
What did you like about college?
Learning new things, talking to new people. I liked the assignments because then I could work on them. It was new stuff.
Anything you disliked?
Reading.
Do you have any wild stories you'd like to share?
Nah, because I was older and living off campus. And
Can you describe some of your favorite stories you were told when you were a child, and what makes them so special?
I can't really think of any stories I was told.
Would you like to share the last story that you personally passed on in person that does not involve social media?
Well, I passed on a story to you about whales.
Is storytelling important to you?
Yeah, I think it can tell people who you are, and if you're passing on stuff about, your parents to your younger nephews, nieces, children, it's important to know that history.
Do you feel like you can learn from the past in that sense?
Oh, yeah. I think you have to.
Can you describe the first dream that you can remember?
First dream.
Or a dream that stayed present with you throughout your life?
Traveling. I want to travel. That's my dream.
Why do you think it made such an impact?
Well, the more places you go, the more you realize people are all the same, and they have the same issues and the same problems and the same daily hustle bustle. And it makes you more grounded in who you are.
When you hear the word happiness, what do you envision?
Happiness for me is dancing around my house singing, or baking cookies and eating them warm out of the oven, or watching a sunrise or a sunset, listening to the water lap at the beach. That's happiness.
What's your favorite song to sing to?
It depends. They sort of run around in my head. Right now I have from South Pacific, I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair, running in my head.
What do you fear?
Being old and alone and unable to take care of myself.
What is your current state of mind?
Current state of mind? Impatience. I have a lot of, I'm selling a house, I'm packing, I'm moving into another house, and I can't move into the other house until the person that's in it's out, and it's impatience right now.
How do you envision your state of mind for the future?
My state of mind will be a happy state of mind.
Is it okay to lie?
It's okay to tell white lies. In other words, oh yeah, I really like your haircut. It's not okay to lie about something that would hurt someone more than just their feelings.
Do you have any talents?
I can crochet a baby blanket. I'm a really good cook. I'm also a kick-butt bartender.
What's your favorite thing to cook, and what's your favorite thing to mix to drink with it?
There's salmon. I love fixing salmon with like a lemon sauce and some toasted almonds and asparagus and maybe some lionized potatoes with a salad and warm bread. When I worked at Fridays, this was a long time ago, it was more of a bar hangout place than it is a family restaurant that it is now. And they would pay you $150 for a drink recipe. And you also could go to other restaurants and sub in for a shift. Like you could go to Cincinnati and work for a night. And also they have, they used to have yearly staff parties. So they would, the Cincinnati store, because it happened to be close to the Indianapolis store, they would call people and you would go and work their shifts so that they could go and, so everybody could go to the party. And I invented a drink called a 57 T-Bird with Hawaiian plates. I didn't name the drink. I made it and made like 3 of them so people can taste them. And it had pineapple juice in it, so they decided it had to have some sort of Hawaiian theme to it. And they said, hey, when aren't you from Michigan? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, it's got to be a car then. And they were going to, and I was born in 1958. So they said they were going to say a 58 Chevy with Hawaiian plates, but it didn't sound right. So it became a 57 T-Bird with Hawaiian plates.
That's awesome. Do you live in the past, present, or future? A combo, or why?
I live in the present, but I dream of the future. So combo of both.
What is your most valued possession?
I have two. My husband gave me a pair of pearl earrings for a wedding gift. And this is the diamond from my mother's wedding ring.
What do they mean to you?
Love.
Is there any gain without pain?
I think you have to pay the piper. It's the same thing.
What is your definition of success?
Happiness.
Do you have any regrets?
Tons.
You want to share them?
No.
Do you have a motto, a way of living?
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Do you have a favorite TV show?
My all-time favorite TV show would have to be Game of Thrones.
Why is that?
Oh, it was so cool. It was just cool.
Do you watch it a lot?
I've watched it more than once, but I haven't watched it recently. Oh, Breaking Bad was pretty good too.
Have you ever been in a contest? And what was the outcome?
I worked as a bartender waitress at a place called Crackers in Indianapolis. It was a comedy club. And one time they did a comedy club or comedy contest for the people that work there. And I think it was like 3 minutes that they had to say. It was not a very long time. But I won.
Are you an organ donor?
I am.
Why?
Because if I'm dead, what do I need it for?
Are you an helper or an observer?
I'm a helper.
Describe why.
I'm not really a person who sits on the sidelines.
What angers you?
Rudeness, discourteousness, lying, guns in the wrong hands.
Why is that? What do you think it stems from?
The guns or all the other things?
Everything.
Hello? I don't think anybody likes rude people. I don't think anybody likes when they're driving down the road and somebody cuts in front of them and they have to slam on the brakes. I don't... and I forgot what the other part was. What did I say the last thing was?
The guns.
Pardon me?
Guns?
Oh, yeah, guns. That's probably because in the past couple of weeks, it's been a bad gun week.
If you were to lose electricity, could you survive?
Yeah. I lived on a boat without electricity.
Do you drink?
Yes. Too much.
When did you first drink?
Gosh, I was probably 13 or 14.
How would you say drinking has impacted your life?
Oh, I know it helped me make some really stupid decisions.
Do you smoke marijuana?
Yes.
When did you first smoke?
Probably when I was about 15. That was when, in the 70s, when pot made its big debut.
What is something you fear that might change you?
Something that I fear might change me. You know, losing any income that I have, that would change me. It would change how I live.
Sunshine or rainy days?
Sunshine.
Why?
It's happier.
Do you stay true to yourself?
I think so. Right?
Do you follow your intuition?
Yes. I'm usually right.
Do you like the person you're becoming or you became?
I think I'm not bad for a 64-year-old woman.
What extreme is too extreme?
In regard to what? Like,
Anything you can think of.
well, I think you can wear too few pieces of clothing. I think you can expose too much is what I mean. I think extremes in any, actually, let me take that back. I think extremes in any case are not necessarily good. Too much food, too much religion, too much hair product, too much anything is not good.
What brings your thoughts into reality?
That's an interesting question. What brings my thoughts into reality? I guess talking to somebody about them. Because that makes it a real, like it's out there now. It's not just in my head.
When it comes to yourself, what is the closest you've come to death? What is the closest you've come to death?
I told you about an incident in Nova Scotia when I was throwing up blood. I really did not think I was going to make it through the night. I really, really did not.
Did it scare you?
Yes.
Are you a person who celebrates the holidays?
I used to be. But most of the time I'm alone, so not really. It's...
Do you have a daily routine?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Do you purposely skip some aspects when you can cut
From my daily routine.
Correct.
Oh, there are times when you don't have time to do everything as perfectly as you wished. If you're running late for work or, you have to go to an appointment, yeah, steps are skipped.
What do you think about photography?
I wish I had the talent.
Why?
It's, well, think about Ansel Adams, just for an example. That he knew to take the picture of that mountain at that precise second to get exactly what he wanted, and to develop the photograph in that however he did. It's amazing.
Are you a follower or a leader?
I'm generally a leader, but I'm a follower if somebody else is already doing a good job.
What is the difference between a leader and a boss?
A leader shows by example, a boss just tells you what to do.
What style do you prefer?
Well, I'd like to know what I'm supposed to do, but I also want to see it done in practice by someone else.
What is one thing you can do to make your life better?
Make more money.
If you could have a conversation with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you talk about?
Oh my gosh. Do I have to choose between my mom and my husband? I guess I would
You have
choose
multiple
him.
people.
I would choose him. I would choose my husband, Alf.
Is there anything you want to say to him?
Yeah, but I don't want to say.
We are at the end of it. Is there anything you'd like to throw in there?
Life is what you make it. Make it what you want it to be.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. That was kind of interesting. How many people have you done this for